So that round finishes, and I remember seeing you coming back to the hotel. You looked pretty dejected, obviously because Gukesh has won. Gukesh has became the new sole leader, and the situation was pretty rough, right? You were playing black against Fabi. Fabi was in a must-win. You were in a must-win. Hikaru was in a must-win situation. Absolutely insane. In insane final round. How did you approach that final round? Because we were trying to figure out as well as a team, like what to expect from you. How did you approach the final round?
Well, first of all, I was finally happy that I threw away my burden of leadership. Yeah, first time in 40 rounds.
Yes, yes.
So I was 40 rounds. I'm leading candidates, and now finally, okay, I can.
Was that a weight off
normally.
Your shoulders, or like more
of
like
course,
a
okay, I'm kidding.
psychological blow?
I mean, I'm kidding. Of course, I was like extremely pissed, like with what I saw. Like, I also like had some hopes, and I even wasn't sure, like, because I think Gukesh won his game, and then okay, Fabio, you were still playing. I think your game was a bit longer, and we were following the game, and I thought, okay, well, maybe I should root for Fabi because okay, if he doesn't win this, then he has no chances for tomorrow, and perhaps okay, he won't push too hard. Yeah, so I thought like, all right, like surely first of all, Fabi should get +3, and that's how like the first thing for me to have some chances with black. That was my consideration, and then. I felt extremely stupid when you played d4 because I checked your games and I checked your games in which you're sort of supposed to play for a win only, and it's not like there is some. I mean, still sometimes you play d4, but I noticed there is a lot of d4 games and a lot of like Nimso because Nimso is very playable. Okay, and like let's say Petrov, if you put me on Petrov. Then d4, of course, is a better try. And in the evening, I had like a feeling that all right, we'll play d4. But okay, I was a bit of annoyed, and I decided like to go to bed early, to keep some energy. And I discussed it with the team briefly, and I said, okay, but d4 is very likely. And in the morning, I woke up and got some well-argumented answer that, okay, e4 is the move to expect. Well, and probably you shouldn't prepare both e4 and d4, and you should focus on e4 and so on and so on. Yeah, and okay, who am I? Like, I'm like a simple peasant. So I decided to follow like the advice of wise people. So I focused on e4, unfortunately.
Do you want to tell us who the wise people were, or you want to keep this on the wraps?
Of course.
I was assuming Jan was one of them.
Gusti was there, yeah, like yes. Gustafsson. And also, basically, okay, Nikita was on,
remote.
Yeah, yes. On the remote, and also Maxim Matlakov was on remote too. So
okay.
Yeah, small adjustments comparing to what I had like for the match, but Nikita is still there.
Very strong team.
I think it was like perfectly reasonable what they said, and I think like it was basically a coin flip for me. So to be honest, one of many coin flips like this I lost during the tournament. Yeah, like a lot of, let's say, 2 openings, and I guess incorrectly, I guess it wrong. Yeah, then I came, okay, anyway, I had this idea. Maybe I expected Catalan more, to be honest, like for a long game and so on. But then you came from, when I went from Nimso, and I had this idea like to get a fighting game. But it was not like, of course, not the type of position I wanted to get against you. But yeah, okay, what done is done. But of course, it would be better, to at least briefly repeat files before playing the line, first time in 3 years or something.
Fabi, do you remember when we decided to play d4? When we made that decision?
Yeah, it was, well, the first thought was like, okay, if I play e4, well, either you'll play your normal repertoire, or you'll play the Najdorf. To me, it didn't really make sense to play other openings because, okay, you do play the Najdorf on occasion, and back in the day, you were like a big Najdorf guy, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, okay, you play the Najdorf, yeah, this is one option, then maybe it's not a bad option for me. But if you play the Petrov, like, yeah, of course, white can try, but but like how much do I want to provoke and where would I try? And then okay, Grigori had this idea like, why don't you play d4? It's going to be unexpected. You didn't play it a single time in this tournament, and you didn't even show any intention at all to play d4. And basically, like if you were not in must win, then I maybe wouldn't choose this approach. But since you were also in a must win, I thought like d4 is a bit more provocative. Like you can choose something. We weren't quite sure if like maybe um that you wouldn't play bishop before that, but that you would play c6, for example.
Hmm.
Uh, like that you would get some kind of Carlsbad and we would have a long game, and this is maybe not a bad outcome for either one of us.
Hmm.
So it was kind of like I don't know if it's provocative, but just saying, okay, let's play some kind of long position now that we go into heavy theory. And uh, and okay, Nimzo, yeah, Nimzo is also not terrible because you kind of
Hmm.
play a long game. Of course, black is well, fine everywhere, but what to do? And we briefly considered this bishop b4. Like basically, all I knew was I'll play queen c2, h5, f3, and okay, that's it. And because it was like one of only bunch of things that you could have done. Yeah, it was like, okay, Carlsbad, or you play Nimzo, or you play even something very provocative, maybe like King's Indian. But or Grunfeld, of course. I mean, it used to be so there was like a bunch of things to consider, and felt a little bit stretched thin. But this was like one of the things. At least I had my game plan, which was a good start.
But the thing is, every single round, it just feels like you need to prepare the whole chess. Yeah,
Yeah.
for
I
every
also I
single
also
round.
somehow thought that okay, my main hope is you, because you will like push hard for a win, and maybe okay I should, because let's say well, again, in hindsight, like I felt like basically if we get some normal like equalish position, I can like sort of like blackmail you with the draw all the time. Yeah, like I think Sasha explained the same when he was playing Giri in the candidates in Yekaterinburg. So like I just blackmailed him with a draw, and he played some a bit a bit murky line in the Queen's Indian and got into trouble. And okay, Sasha went on winning, so basically secured the first
At
place.
that point, Sasha didn't need to win, which was very
Yeah, yeah.
helpful for
Sasha of course didn't need
promotion.
to win, but okay, of course
Yeah,
it's very easy when you don't need anything. But
yeah.
when yeah, so
Yeah, that was a big point of discussion. Like, how much do you blackmail the other person with a draw? Yeah, uh,
as much as possible.
you know, uh,
I mean, I
Fafo.
think game theory would say that you should play the Petrov, for example, that you should like play basically decent openings and not be the first one to provoke.
No, I think it's a mistake to think that Petrov is like a drawish opening. I mean, okay, some forcing line and draws, but there is like plenty of lines for both colors to keep like. I mean, it's symmetrical structure, but that's I think that's it.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's an opening.
we've seen a lot of exchange Frenches. Yeah, happening in these candidates. So
No,
and
but if you want
everything
to
can
make
be
a draw
played
against
nowadays.
Petrov, then you wouldn't choose the exchange French. You would go for like the deep theory, yeah. I mean, you would just like play main lines if you, but of course, I would not want to draw, and so it was just a weird situation. I think it
Yeah,
kind
of
of
course.
fucked up our play at the start. Um, like F4, I think was a bit of a maybe not great decision by me, and then your reaction.
No, but the
And
four was like brilliant practically because I played some. I think I prepared this a little for the first round at least. Yeah, this on this system, but then I mean, I think I never checked f4 deep because okay, it's not like typical of the position. Of course, normally you want to go e4 first, yeah. And also, okay, f4 was not a problem by itself, but somehow like I was in my calculations after I played queen e7, I only was focusing on rook d2 e1, and e4 like threw me to complete panic. Wow, okay, I missed such a simple move, and I just did all the same which I wanted to do after d2 e1 with the tempo down, which basically I mean, the position was fine. I mean, okay, at least according to a computer, it's very complex. Okay, black takes some risk, but it's zeros. And it's like, okay, basically when you play bishop b4, you're sort of agreeing of playing some risky positions with maybe white's task is a bit easier because, okay, white has some more normal development. And they didn't lose time for h5, g5 stuff. And, okay, you play in the center and you're opening up lines against my king. So that's very natural, yeah? And, okay, after e4, I guess, okay, I lost... was the first moment I lost the control, but it was already enough for you to take over and to I mean, basically until some moment you played like a more or less impeccable game.
Yeah, yeah.
I think there was this
Go ahead.
helpful moment where like okay, you went for the stuff, bishop c3, bishop f3, and then bishop e4. And at first I thought like are you doing? Because like after bishop takes e4, I thought okay, g takes f4, some rook e1 or something, I win. And if you
Mm-hmm.
castle long, okay, d5 and looks like disaster for black. And then
Mm-hmm.
I realized that like this rook d1 actually doesn't matter at all. When you were thinking about g takes f4, and then I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking okay, d5, but queen c5 somehow doesn't like looks a bit dangerous. And then I was thinking some queen a5 just to stop you from castling, but then okay, doesn't really work. And finally, like I realized that g4 h4 and then this king b1 is like preparing d5, and it's maybe at least it's like totally safe for white and dangerous for black. So it felt like ideal solution because I was already thinking like I might be close to getting a big advantage here.
But that I think was a big difference. So basically, after I took on c3 and f3, I mean, of course, I considered some other move orders, but every time I was calculating like a lot of bad options. I mean, okay, a lot of options which lead to more or less the same bad positions in different move orders, and I just was completely lost in my calculations. So, like, how do I like my only question was how don't I lose immediately?
Mm.
And I wasn't sure because okay, also this inclusion g4 h4. I mean, okay, to calculate all these lines again was a bit painful. I mean, it wasn't a real choice, and at some point, okay, I don't know exactly why did I go for castle instead of h4, but somehow, okay, I had this okay castle as a reserve option if nothing else works, and okay, I go castle knight c5 and then just hope for the best. But there was, as it turned out, there was not much to hope for. Yeah, for black.
When did you feel, obviously, the game and the middle game didn't go your way, and towards the end of the first time control, you were completely losing? Where did you feel like you have some chances to come back in the game? And what were your hopes at that point? Because obviously you were still very much behind. Maybe best if Fabiano doesn't push too much, you're going to make a drop. But when did you feel like you have some chances to maybe even get a victory?
To be honest, my only hope was that Fabi wins the tiebreak. I mean, I had no other hopes at that point. I was quite. I was trying to be, quite candid to myself, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it wouldn't be the time control, I would probably, I don't know, like give up or something because the position is just ugly. But I mean, okay, like still, like few moves to make, and I had some hopes of rook c8, queen c2 tricks, okay, whatever. Some random tactic ideas which combining with pawn on h2 are very nice.
Mm-hmm.
But well, I sort of felt it's like not beyond savable until I noticed that okay, there is bishop b5 plus king b1 move sequence, and then okay, it's just a disaster because otherwise, I mean, even like if I checked it with the computer briefly, and not also and also not briefly, but I mean, if not bishop b5 king b1, of course, like white is massively better, but it's not. I mean, it's not as lost as it was in the game. So I'm pretty much forced into rook takes d1, rook takes d1, rook e8 or something because my hope was after king b1 to play rook d1, rook d1, rook d8, rook d8, queen d8. Then queen, I felt like queen c5, queen d1, queen c1 takes h3, and I promote. And it was like some trick for exchanging some pieces and maybe like keeping some hopes. But the problem was to play queen e5 check first, of course. And after king
Or
e8,
c7 was also like I think it's very very good after queen d8. Like
what?
I just noticed the c7 after queen takes d8 was like
Okay, c7 is also good, but okay, first I calculated queen c5, and then it's all right, there is queen e5. Okay, c7 is more than enough, of course. But yeah, normally in such positions there is more than one way to lose. But then okay, instead of rook d8, I had rook e8, and maybe it's, I mean, of course lost, but I don't think it's as bad as in the game. Yeah, and then after b6, of course, many moves are good, okay, but rook d7 is just basically killing. I have no counterplay, and okay, you always have this queen c8 idea in many cases, but that's not my only problem, of course. I mean, I could try instead of somehow rotating my queen to c7, I could try king c7, which would be probably a better chance. But then I felt like you would play like queen takes f4, knight e5, and then rook e1, f6, g5, and I felt like okay, I will never manage to get rid of this pin. so in some way I decided to go for another pin with my pawn on h2, but I actually was quite okay. The position was hopeless, and I also had not so many hopes. Yeah, besides, all right, like it's not like anyway we get a result, and anyway like the guy I'm rooting, first I was rooting for myself, and then of course I was rooting for you in the tournament, and yeah, it was like the only positive moment of the game. Yeah.
And yeah, we have to discuss those last final moments of the game as well. Obviously, you also mentioned it on your podcast, which, by the way, I didn't understand much because it's in Russian. I don't speak Russian.
You know, on YouTube you can switch on subtitles on the preferable language.
Yes,
so
yes. So I've been doing that. But you did mention, the the coin flip thought.
Yeah.
Let's say. But obviously that was not going to happen. That's not
well, it's probably
in general. But
I mean, okay, we all know this Mislav Hubner, yeah, like
how serious was that thought, I guess, is my question.
Well, it was some sort of desperation. I wouldn't say it was more than like 10% of seriousness, but it wasn't completely a complete joke. So I felt like, all right, I mean, anyway, like a draw is unacceptable for both of us. Yeah, but I think such things maybe they should happen somewhere like behind the curtains. They happen sometimes, but on a serious note, of course, yeah, it was like I think this all was because of like the unusual key we got in the hotel. Yeah, okay, I've never seen such key. Which like a big coin. So maybe I'm not like a big expert in traveling, but yeah, it's like Echo Hotel, one Hotel Toronto, yeah, and
this is
very special style of everything.
Yeah,
so
this is a very in-house joke. Yeah, nobody with that.
Yeah, and also like during the tournament, I was also often using this as a poker chip. Okay, like as an amateur poker player, I also like to build some towers from chips, and also like having constantly something in your hand, and rotating it between your fingers.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find an image of that. Yeah. Fabi, what were your thoughts in those last few moments? Obviously, you knew you spoiled it. Like, what were the emotions at that point?
Well, okay, I basically like felt I had lost control many times during this game, but then I thought like somehow I was like, okay, it's a miracle. Like F7 and knight B3, king B1, I'm winning, which wasn't even true because I missed knight D2. But I thought, okay, knight D2, king C2, like king runs, whatever. And then knight C5, I thought, okay, I have checks, I have a pawn on the 7th rank, and I have a rook. Like somehow I should win, which was true, but I didn't see the way, which was only one way. And basically, I like repeated it, and then I made this random move, rook E7. And immediately after I played it, I was like, well, what about queen F1? I was like, it's a draw, yeah, like immediately hit me. And then when you played queen F1, I was thinking like, okay, I can't repeat, but if I don't repeat, probably I lose, which in this situation, I guess doesn't make a difference for me, but maybe if I lose this game, I even get like murdered on my way out of the playing hall by someone. And then I got excited for a second because I saw rook E4 and I was like, oh, like some excitement was like, oh, it's like winning for white.
Still
for
playable.
Just 1 second.
Yes.
No, not playable, but like, oh, rook E4 and I take on E4, take on E4, and I promote my pawn and I win. Of course, this H2 pawn, which I failed to capture for like basically 50 moves, was still there. Yeah. And so this one moment of joy was quickly, but then I had nothing to do. Okay, I played rook E4 with like probably a few seconds on my clock or something. I don't know. And yeah, mostly it was just the anger is, of course, like I more or less want to resign, not to even look at this position anymore, but and somehow want to win this game, but it's impossible to win the game anymore. So you're just angry at yourself, and yeah.
Wait, didn't you win the same, or maybe almost the same Queen Endgame against Maxim Vachier-Lagrave in the Singfield Cup?
It was without the B6 pawn.
So it was
2 versus 0.
I also know I know it's also a draw, but okay, the 1 6 pawn it would be a bit more challenging, yeah, for black.
Yeah, then I would at least feel like,
Yeah,
okay,
of
50,
course, of course.
although it is a somehow theoretical
Oh,
draw.
by the way, I was just completely shocked by Rook E4 because okay, I thought okay, of course Fabi won't repeat. I was like completely sure you won't repeat, and I didn't see Rook E4 resource. So somehow like the level of my pro calculation was then whenever okay, I understood like okay, Rook C7 is very tempting, and then okay, I felt like when you play Rook F7 and Rook C7 and then F7, your back rank becomes weak. And I didn't see like the mate after Queen E8 because okay, I didn't see this Queen E8, Queen E2 maneuver. It was sort of I mean, even now, like it's not obvious for me, like without a computer, what would happen after b5, but okay, whatever. And probably something happened, something quite easy.
Yeah, it's Rook C6, and then I think
Yeah,
like Rishuk and maybe Shimonov were like looking through, and it wasn't
like
easy, but
king b7 maybe, and then rook h6 maybe or what.
King B7 is Queen B5 and
Queen
King
d5
A7
check. Okay, okay, okay.
and Queen E7, Queen E3. It's just like with checks, but then after like King B8, or no, I think at that point it's easy. But
Yeah, of
yeah,
course, of course. Okay, if you can't hold the construction with knight on c5, of course,
yeah,
queen and rook finish, seal the deal. But I felt okay, well, if not rook e4, okay, then maybe okay, some weird move, I didn't know, just to keep the game going, and then okay, suddenly I have a lot of checks. Yeah, and rook e4, I tried it like many times. Can I start with queen e1 check, then h1 queen? Maybe okay, I can I can play on somehow, but okay, no, knight e4 and yeah.